Robert Lewandowski might actually be the best striker in the world at the moment. He has scored 19 goals in 17 games in all competitions so far. That's the best he's ever been in a Barcelona shirt. You could even argue that he's back at his old Bayern Munich level. And that is all thanks to Hansi Flick. The German manager managed to get the best out of him again, and for this season and maybe even in the coming years as well, Barcelona have a world-class striker on their hands with Robert Lewandowski. But after that, Barcelona have a problem. Lewandowski is already 36 at the moment. He can maybe play at this kind of level for 2 more seasons, but eventually someone will need to replace him. There are a lot of options, but the question is, who is Lewandowski's ideal successor? Well, that is what we're going to discuss in this video, so let's just get right to it. First of all, a player that comes to mind for a lot of people is probably Erling Haaland. Obviously, Haaland has already proven a lot in his professional career, and he might also be the most expensive option. But remember, he is still only 24 at the moment, and season upon season upon season, he's scoring goal after goal after goal. He basically scores as many goals as the number of games he's played. And he's been doing it more consistently than maybe any other striker in the last 10 years. He is still only 24 and he has already proven this much, so he can probably only become better and break even more records. In terms of pure goal scoring, Erling Haaland could very well become the greatest player of all time, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. You might have your doubts about buying Erling Haaland from Man City, but you cannot deny that he's an elite striker who is good enough to play for Barcelona. Even then though, some people might still say that he wouldn't fit at Barcelona. But why actually? Well, if you compare Erling Haaland to strikers like Samuel Eto'o or Luis Suarez for example, you might have to admit that Haaland isn't as complete as them. Haaland is really a pure goal scorer, and some people even say that he's quite static and doesn't have enough other qualities aside from being a poacher in front of goal. And that's kinda true compared to someone like Luis Suarez. Players like Suarez and Eto'o were not just strikers, their link-up play was phenomenal as well. Their dribbling was great, their passing was really good. You could have played them at the wing or in attacking midfield and they still would have done well. And that's the kind of striker that people consider as a Barcelona striker. Someone who is complete and technically very good on the ball. That makes it just easier to play in the Barcelona way. Hansi Flick's tactics follow the Barcelona philosophy for a big part, and Lewandowski is actually a really good striker for this kind of system. He's not as complete as Luis Suarez, but he's technically good enough and most people underestimate how versatile of a player he is. Lewandowski is definitely more complete and versatile than Haaland. So the question is, would Haaland actually fit at Barcelona? Well, yeah, he would probably fit at Barcelona. Haaland's main task in Hansi Flick's Barcelona would be to make runs and finish chances, and that's obviously not a problem for him. If you would drop Haaland in Barcelona's starting 11 right now instead of Lewandowski, then he would fit right in. I mean, can you imagine Lamine Yamal and Haaland playing together? Just think about all those crosses that Lamine Yamal puts into the box. This should really just work perfectly. Some people might be afraid that he's more static than Lewandowski, which he is, but frankly, that wouldn't have too bad of an impact for Barcelona. Combining an attack is something that players like Dani Olmo, Rafinha, Pedri and Lamine Yamal are prolific at. It doesn't hurt to have someone like Haaland in there who doesn't have the same level of link-up play. Not to mention the fact that Haaland has been killing it at Man City for 2 seasons now. If there is one team in the world that play the Barcelona way, it is actually Man City probably. Haaland helps them get to their best level in 2023, so obviously he can play in a team with attacking combination football. And then some people might still say, well, he's not a big game player. But come on, look at his stats. He consistently scores more or less as many goals as he plays games. That's what you primarily want out of your striker at the end of the day, right? And on top of that, there are numerous big games in which he's been crucial. The Champions League games against Bayern Munich in 2023, several Premier League games against Arsenal or Liverpool, that one Champions League game against PSG while he was still at Dortmund. Erling Haaland does have the ability to decide big games. He just won't always do it, but that goes for any world-class player really. In terms of pure quality and potential, Erling Haaland would be a no-brainer for Barcelona. There is one last thing though, that price tag. Erling Haaland's current contract runs up until the summer of 2027. He could extend his contract at Man City, but potentially with a release clause. And paying that potential release clause could be financially possible for Barcelona. On the other hand, if he doesn't extend his contract, then Man City will probably want to sell him in the summer of 2026. In that case, Barcelona could also negotiate a fair price for him. Haaland would probably not arrive before 2026, but that's not too big of a deal as Lewandowski should be able to play at his current level up till then, and either way Haaland would still be expensive. But he would be worth the money, cause on the pitch he would wreak havoc in there together with Lamine Yamal. There is however someone that a lot of you would prefer above Haaland at the moment, and that someone is Viktor Gyökeres from Sporting. This player has taken the world by storm this season, and he has scored 16 goals in 11 games so far in the Portuguese competition. He's obviously in great form right now, but last season, with 29 goals in 33 games in the competition, he also performed consistently over the full campaign. So it is not just that he's in great form right now, Gyökeres is actually the real deal. Weirdly enough though, he's older than Erling Haaland. He is already 26, he's just broken through at a very late age. So the disadvantage of that is that his longevity isn't the same as that of Haaland or especially even younger strikers. On top of that, he might have been performing really well at Sporting, but we don't actually know whether he can show the same at one of the biggest clubs in the world in Barcelona. After all, he's also flopped at other clubs like Brighton and Swansea prior to coming to Sporting. And the only way to really know whether he would prove himself at Barcelona would probably be to get him to Barcelona and give him that chance. But purely in terms of football, Viktor Gyökeres would be the perfect striker for Barcelona. He's kind of comparable to Erling Haaland. He's also fast and strong, he has those explosive runs, he has that ability to produce dangerous shots from anywhere. Those are all things that remind you of Erling Haaland. Gyökeres might be even more complete of a striker though. He's known for having very smart runs, but even as a creator, he's a valuable player. His passing is really accurate, his link-up play is probably better than that of Haaland, and he can also use his dribbling to create openings. Gyökeres would probably fit in really well at Barcelona. That being said though, he wouldn't be a cheap option either. He's worth around 60 to 70 million at the moment, and that price tag will probably only increase as he keeps performing and as different clubs will start negotiating for him. Contrary to Haaland, Barcelona would also have to go for him in the summer of 2025, because otherwise another club will probably go for him. That also means that next season you would have Gyökeres at Barcelona after having bought him for big money, together with Lewandowski, who would probably still be world class. And don't forget that he's also never proven himself yet at this kind of level. There are a lot of question marks around Viktor Gyökeres, but there is a chance that he could be the perfect replacement for Lewandowski. So Haaland and Gyökeres are the two big options that we talked about so far, but they would both be really expensive. There are, however, also some cheaper options that are possibly even more promising in the long term. One of those might be Benjamin Sesko. Benjamin Sesko is Leipzig's striker and he's still only 21 at the moment. He might not be the same kind of goal-scoring machine as Gyökeres or Haaland, but he would still guarantee you 20 goals a season. And as he's 21, he probably still has more growth margin than Haaland or Gyökeres. In terms of profile, he's actually really comparable to Erling Haaland. He's tall, he's a pure striker, he might not be as complete as Gyökeres for example, but he'll definitely score a lot of goals over the course of the season. In terms of money, he would of course not be as expensive as Haaland or Gyökeres, but still. He's Leipzig's main striker, he's one of their most important players, and he's 21, so they probably would at least ask 50 million for him. Long story short, he is a promising striker, but it would still be risky to go and spend that money on someone who's still not proven himself at the very highest level. There is another very interesting option though, Jonathan David, who plays at Lille. The Canadian striker is 24 right now, so he's got the same age as Haaland, and he's been consistently putting in top performances the last couple of years in France. He scored 19 goals in 34 games in the Ligue 1 last season, and now he's on 7 goals in 11 games. That gives you an idea of what kind of numbers Jonathan David has been putting in. And as he is only 24, he might still be about to reach his prime. On top of that, his profile is very interesting too. He's actually not the same kind of pure striker that Haaland or Sesko is, he's way more versatile. He's technically very good, his dribbling is a huge asset, he's got a very high game IQ, so he makes really smart runs and his link-up play is phenomenal. That's the kind of striker that Jonathan David is. He can even perfectly play at the wings as well. But that doesn't take away that he's lethal in front of goal, he's just really versatile too. It's rare to have strikers who can stay inside the box to finish crosses while also being that good all round. But that is exactly the kind of striker that Jonathan David is. And you know what the most interesting part is? In terms of money, this would actually be Barcelona's smartest option. Jonathan David's contract at Lille expires in the summer of 2025, so he will be available as a free agent next summer. If you can get a player like him on a free transfer, then that would be an absolute bargain. He's never proven himself at a club like Barcelona, but as Lewandowski will still be around next season, it wouldn't be that risky to just give him that opportunity. Jonathan David is definitely an interesting option. There are still other options out there of course, but we shouldn't forget that Barcelona themselves also still have some options for the future. After all, Vitor Roque's time at Barcelona might not be over yet. Can he actually become the long-term Lewandowski replacement that he was supposed to become? He's had an okay loan spell at Real Betis thus far. It wasn't easy to get minutes at first, but he's been getting more game time recently and he's slowly but surely starting to come through at Betis. A lot depends on how he does at Betis in the next coming months, but if he can cement his place at Betis, then he definitely deserves another chance at Barcelona next year. Again, Lewandowski will still be there as well, so the circumstances would still be ideal for Vitor Roque to get some proper opportunities without being under too much pressure. In the end, it all depends on how he does at Real Betis this season, but we definitely shouldn't count out Vitor Roque yet. He's still only 19, and last season he didn't even get a fair chance at Barcelona. As a matter of fact, he was originally set out to only come to Barcelona this summer instead of last January. It is because of Gavi's injury that Xavi wanted to get him sooner, and maybe that wasn't the best idea. Vitor Roque deserves some actual opportunities before he's really discarded, and it all starts for him in the coming months at Real Betis. Lastly, there is also La Masia, of course. There is one striker that has been talked about a lot over the years, and his name is Oscar Gistau. He is 16 right now, and he has recently made his debut for Barcelona B. You might think that it is still early to give him first team minutes right now, and some people would maybe want to give the 18-year-old Hugo Alba a chance first, but Oscar Gistau does seem to be the most promising striker coming out of La Masia at the moment. And we all know that some other players out of this La Masia generation were perfectly able to adapt to first team football at a young age. So there is a chance that Oscar Gistau can be Lewandowski's long-term replacement. And it won't take that long before we'll get to see him in Barcelona's first team. So that was basically it. But wait, we haven't actually answered the question of this video yet. Who should actually replace Robert Lewandowski at Barcelona? We've seen all the main options, and if Barcelona want to go big, then the choice is really between Haaland and Gyökeres. Gyökeres might be more complete as a striker and has been astonishing this season, but you do have that risk with him that he's never shown it at a big club like Barcelona, while you would still be paying big money for him. Haaland on the other hand would obviously cost a lot of money, but he would perform at Barcelona and score goal after goal after goal, guaranteed. After he's been able to do it at Man City, it seems like a no-brainer that he'll be able to do it at Barcelona as well. Moreover, he's also 2 years younger than Gyökeres. If we're not considering the financial side of things, Haaland is the less risky option, while he even has more margin for growth. So in the end, even though he is the most expensive option, I do think that Erling Haaland would be the ideal Lewandowski replacement. But he would only arrive in 2026 like we said. That means that next season Barcelona could experiment with another option, like Jonathan David for example, or Vitor Roque if he does well at Betis, or even Oscar Gistau. If, let's say, Jonathan David or Vitor Roque would really manage to break through, then Haaland wouldn't even be a necessity anymore. So in the first place, I would try to give a striker like them an opportunity next season, and if that doesn't work out, then go for Haaland in the summer of 2026. That might be the ideal plan, I think, and I hope that Joan Laporta has a similar idea. So that was it for today's video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and definitely let me know what you think of Barcelona's striker situation in the comments down below. And of course, Força Barça, and have a good day.